Lovely question. Lovely question. See, you got to, as I said, the detachment is not a thing to be practiced. But when the activity of Shakti, which is the frenetic and mad activity of the moving part of consciousness, subsides, it completely subsides, then there is a detachment which comes into existence automatically. It's not a practiced detachment, but you can also practice the detachment. Yes, like many Buddhist monks and Hindu monks, you can practice detachment. For example, one Buddhist sutra says that if you see a lovely animal, a dog or a cat, don't kiss it, because by kissing it, you'll get attached to it. So the practice of detachment is extreme in Buddhism. So you're not supposed to get attached to people, get attached to animals, get attached to anything. Because that can be taken to an extreme, in which case you're actually going to kind of draw a black curtain on life. And you don't see life as divine. So I don't agree with that Buddhist teaching, because the whole of this life is manifestation of the divine. The good, the bad, the ugly, all, the totality of it is a manifestation of the divine. And you got to see it that way to get your peace. Because if you think that there is anything which is undivine in the world, I think you're finished. Because then you're going to be at war with that, and you'll want to fight it, because that's undivine, and you're supposed to be divine. What's all this nonsense? And that's how religious wars have gone on. Because you think your religion has the truth, and some other religion doesn't have the truth. So you got to see divinity everywhere. Nothing but the divine, nothing but the divine. Keep on seeing it. And you've got to come to this point by your own walking, by your own sadhana, you've got to get here.
What you can do to disappear the attachments?
Pardon?
¿Qué puede hacer para desaparecer los apegos?
If there's something you could do to disappear, to vanish the attachments.
Why should you make the attachments vanish? They are also given by the divine, and you're only 20 years. You can keep your attachments for 40 more years. Who asked you to throw away your attachments? That's unnatural.
Can you get attached to the detachment?
Yeah, you can get attached to the detachment, of course. You've got to be very vigilant. And then, because you are attached to the detachment, then you may not like people who are not detached. Careful. Following this? Because you are attached to your detachment, and you're looking at the world, and you find some people very, very attached, and a thought will arise in you. Oh my God, they're very attached. So what? Everything is happening according to the divine plan. So you got to be eternally vigilant. And you got to do this work yourself.
Cuando estás en el apego y de repente pasa en tu vida cotidiana algo en donde te das cuenta de que este apego ya no está, eso es apego.
Okay.
No sé, ¿pregunta?
Sí, por supuesto, buena pregunta. When you are in the attachments of life, and something happens in life, and suddenly you see that the attachment is not there anymore. Is that detachment?
No, that's bogus.
What do you mean by bogus?
That's not detachment.
What do you mean by bogus?
Bogus means it's not real. It's not real. It's false. False detachment. It's false detachment, because you are attached to something because of pleasure and because of gain for the self, and because the self lost that gain. It's a case of grapes are sour. So the self has become very bitter now. So the self is thinking that it's detached, but actually it's in pain. It's in pain because it didn't get what it wanted. It didn't get what it wanted. Alonso-ji.
So we have to always follow what we're feeling and wanting for. A silly example, if I want right now a beer, I should feeling just put inside me.
Okay, this is a good question. This is a good question.
Spanish. Tú mismo en español, porque no escucho.
Entonces, siempre debemos estar siguiendo lo que estamos sintiendo porque Dios lo puso ahí. Y un ejemplo tonto es, si ahorita se me antoja mucho una cerveza, tengo que ir con la cerveza porque Dios puso ese sentimiento ahí.
Yeah, good question. This is a very good question. Now, there are actually times in life, and the times and the time spans can be a day, it can be a week, it can be years also, when you are introspective, when you are watching yourself very deeply and you are doing a sadhana. Then at other times, you may not be watching. Consciousness is outward turned. It's outward turned and is pursuing pleasures or whatever it is. And it depends on you. You got to, if there is a necessity, and if it's a natural thing for you to become introverted. For example, you have seen a death in the family. You have seen a death in the family. And then immediately you start contemplating on that event, on the passing nature of our human life. You start contemplating, and then you may become introspective, and that may remain for 10 days or 15 days or 1 month. And then slowly you forget the episode, and then once again you become more extroverted. So there is no hard and fast rule that you must remain. If you are, of course, a monk in a monastery, then you must remain introverted for long periods of time during the time you are learning the spiritual life. You may have to be introverted for 2 years, for 3 years, for 4 years, for 5 years, for 10 years, if you are a monk. But if you are in the mainstream of life, where the senses are calling, they get their call, then you can't all the time be watching, because if you're all the time watching, then you're going to be a misfit in this life, and you're going to become, very importantly, non-functional. You're going to become non-functional. So you got to see whether you like to be non-functional and you don't care about what society, because society is going to criticize you. They're going to say, here is a recluse, here is a very funny man, don't speak to him. Society is going to say that. And if you don't mind society saying that, then by all means be introverted. Otherwise, be natural and keep flowing. So there is no universal recipe that you've got to do only this, you've got to do only that. Depending on the context, you've got to keep flowing.
From what I'm trying to understand here today, I find myself in conflict. From what I find myself here today, from what I'm thinking I'm learning, I'm finding myself in conflict because from past events in my life that have caused me very much pain, and I have been able to overcome them as well as I could. I have found that I've become very sensitive.
When that is touched, when that cord is touched.
Exactly.
Yeah,
well, know that my way of becoming, I've become very sensitive to taking the time to really have great bliss in enjoying nature, you know, the flowers, sunsets, and things like that. Things that really move me very deeply, and I feel that I'm very close to God.
Lovely.
I feel that God has, He's been the creator of all of this.
Oh, lovely.
But then this
the pain is there?
Pardon me?
Is the pain there, the residue of pain?
No.
No, it's gone.
It's gone.
Okay, lovely.
And
lovely.
I feel that it nourishes my soul.
You
know,
wonderful.
This bliss
Right.
Nourishes my soul when I'm able to enjoy those things, because I feel they're very related to God, and it makes me feel close to God.
Lovely.
But then, you know, understanding this idea of pain, I just don't know how to relate it with this bliss. I feel that now I'm becoming looking for pleasure, and it's not that I'm looking for pleasure. This just comes out at me. I don't know how to.
No, if pleasure,
yeah.
Okay, now if you're done with your stock of suffering, and they've kind of fallen out of your life, and you got the bliss of God in your heart, and you're so moved by nature, and when you look at nature and the trees, then you feel a new kind of divine kindling, then what is the conflict that you can possibly have?
No,
then
but I'm trying to understand, because we have to learn to understand the pain and contemplate in death and in illness and disease and
Right,
all that. And
that's
so
right.
I'm not understanding how I can relate this.
No, but your pain is gone already.
Okay.
Your pain is gone. So there is nothing in what I'm saying which can be, if your pain is truly gone. No, it may not have truly gone. Yeah, a residue. There could be a residue.
I think so.
There could be a residue, and which has to be discharged.
Okay.
And that's the purgation I'm talking about. Now,
How do you do that?
by awakening to it and by allowing it to swallow you.
Okay.
Got to allow it to swallow you.
Okay.
So that there's a dying. Because the whole purpose of that pain is to give you an experience of death in one way or the other, the death of the self. And that's a blessing which is not recognized to be a blessing. It's recognized to be a curse, and it's a very wrong way of looking at life. Because in that ending of life is the seed of a new beginning.
I recognize that the most painful things in my life have turned out to be blessings afterwards.
Wonderful, wonderful. Because they are that's the ending of one chapter, and from that ending arises a new seed.
Exactly.
But you've got to make that ending kind of perfect by yielding to that ending and putting our head on the stalk, so that the guillotine will chop us off.
Thank you.
And then a new beginning starts.
While contemplating on the reality of birth and death and old age and sickness, I recognized that I did not accept that. I was like fixed on the permanence of myself. No,
Oh, you were fixed on that?
I discovered that. No?
Oh,
I
lovely.
Never, yeah,
Lovely,
I
lovely.
never thought
Okay.
of me as an impermanent being.
Okay.
Really, really deeply. No? But what amazed me is that as strong as was my resistance to death, there was a resistance to birth.
To birth?
Yeah, to be here. Huh?
Okay, a resistance to being here. Okay, I understand. Yeah, got it.
It's like, I don't want to be here on earth, but I
Yeah.
don't want to die either. You know?
Yeah, you don't want to be here because there is a tremendous burden in you which is not yet discharged. That's why many people in India say, I want this to be my last birth, I don't want another life. Now, this statement can only be made by somebody who is not in a state of innocence. And innocence is the state in which all suffering has come to an end. And therefore, there is huge backlog. And you're not died to it. You've got to die to the whole thing. You're not died to it. You've got to die to it. And that's the essence of the spiritual life. The dying is the essence. And otherwise, there's no renewal of life. Letting everything go. Let the ending happen to you. Let the ending happen to you. So that's a thing which each of us have to kind of voluntarily put ourselves on that. And knowing that in that is the real fulfillment of life. It's not a denial of life as the ego may think it is, but it is the fulfillment which is completely unknown to us, not known to us. On us to get there. We should stop, I think. Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry the session was so long, and thank you for your tremendous patience and for your attention, unwavering attention. So you will get a well-deserved break now, and then we'll meet again. Namaste.